It's 4 o'clock on a Monday, and you know what that means. It's time for another exciting episode of Taxi TV Live. Yeah! This week, starring special guest star Mr. Richard Dance, also known as Crawdaddy. Yeah! Welcome, Richard.
Thank you. Good to be here, Mike.
I should say welcome back, Richard. We had a great time. Richard was here a few months ago, and...
It was a year ago.
It was a year ago already?
Last May, yeah.
Holy crap.
Figured annual's about right.
Anyway, we had a great time doing the show, and then we went out for some sushi and sake afterwards and enjoyed that a bunch, and I'm glad that he's back. He's in town from Phoenix, plugging away. Some of you old-timers might remember he had the very good fortune at his first road rally to get in the line and happened to be standing next to a guy who owned a production music library, and before you know it, he had a deal for a big bunch of his songs. And that was kind of a launching pad for you. And
It was, yeah, and then it got spoiled, so then it was dead for about a year. No, it's the same old learning process,
Yeah.
New business, same game, so.
Well, Richard's an extremely talented guy, great guitar player, and so he just, man, if you want backbeat coming out of that right hand, there's your guy right there. So he has really done a lot to self-educate himself and about the filming TV side of the business, and has some pretty great music. And we're going to get to that in a minute, but first we're going to play a song from a member and do the old let's see what this member's got. And as always, we don't mention the member by name. Excuse me, sorry, I'm now burping up my TV dinner because I'm so classy. Yeah. I mean, come on, Johnny Carson never said that, right?
Was that, did I just smell some dill?
No, it was rice with cheese and chunks of chicken and broccoli in it. It was god-awful. Let's see, Scott Hansen's in the house. He says, on tonight's Taxi TV, the menu we're serving our house special, veal parmesan with spaghetti, house salad, homemade focaccia. It's always got the homemade focaccia bread, and a side glass of our best Sangiovese? I can't even say that word, let alone drink it, but glad to have you guys here. There's Matt Vanderbo, Amanda, Gareth, Russell, Robbie Hancock, the usual cast of characters, and hopefully some new faces. So glad to have you guys here. And the song that we're going to listen to is called Thank You. So let's spin that puppy. Oh yeah, I just reminded myself when I tilted back, I've got a horribly bad back. I'll tell you later.
I said, how many times can I say that I love you? Just, you always look away when I'm sitting right in front of you. You tell me that I'm right and you could do much better. I don't think so. I forget what you're saying when you're wearing all that leather. Oh yeah. I wanna thank you for being there till the end, taking all my money and leaving me for dead with those high heel shoes and that pretty yellow hair. You're talking to my best friend, hey, that's not fair. That's not fair. Yeah. No, I can't do you like that. Hey, before you go, and touch her. Hey, is that your friend? No, the redhead. Is she singing? I said, how many times can you take away the love from me? That sexy smirk on your face has got some kind of control on me. You treat me so bad, smile like the devil. I don't know what you did to me, but it's cold and I'm in trouble. Yeah. Oh, I thank you for being a good friend. Taking all my money, leaving me for dead. The high heel shoes and the pretty yellow hair makes my head spin. Did you hear what I said?
All right, and where's my thing? There it is. That was, whoa. It's called Thank You. Thank you. Okay, overall, kind of liked it. It's definitely retro. Kind of reminded me of something from the Canned Heat era. There was something a little Canned Heatish, maybe as the distorted guitar playing a pretty simple but catchy riff. I like the riff. You know, in a lot of our listings, you'll see back in our day, Richard and I are old geezers. We're the same age, and back in our
What?
day, back in our day, I said back in our day,
Yeah. Get them on the horn.
a hook was only found in the chorus, pretty much. And nowadays, people have so much ADD going on. They've got to have cool little, you know, instrumental hooks or rhythmic hooks in the intro, and then in the verse, and you know, all the way through the song, you've got to have little hooks. And I don't want people to be confusing that with the hook as we know it.
Yeah. Are you asking for my input on
Well,
this?
in a
Yeah.
second, but this one's got that guitar riff is the hook all the way
Yeah.
through.
That comes right out of John Lee Hooker. You know, the old black blues guys that just kind of stay on, you know, John Lee. Right, exactly. And he's got a 4 on the floor, so it's driving,
Yep.
and it just kind of stays there. So I don't know what you want me to comment on it.
Anything you want to.
The thing that's good about it to me is it's like one emotion.
Yeah.
It's one thing, so it obviously could be used somewhere, you know, for that thing. It's not a song in the sense of taking you to lifting you up and dropping you down. It's a different use probably. So it's really well done at that.
And I kind of had an issue with it for that reason that you just pointed out, which is it's a one-trick pony. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's pretty darn good, but what could make it better is that you got 2 verses, and the story in the lyric of the 2 verses never gets completed. You don't have like a beginning and a middle and an end. But as Richard said, musically it stays in one place, which is often good for film and TV. Although you could have probably broken it down and built it back up to make it a little more interesting. But lyrically, it stayed in one place. And you've got some good detail in there, which can sometimes be problematic with film and TV because you don't want to conflict or challenge the storyline of the scene. But how many times can I say that I loved you? You always look away when I'm sitting right in front of you. There's your sign. You tell me that I'm bad and you could do much better. There's another sign. I keep forgetting what you're saying when you're wearing all that leather. I mean, you've painted a picture, a sad picture, and you know this is maybe from personal experience. I don't know, but I hope you're not married to this lady. But then the chorus, I want to thank you for bringing this to an end. But
Well, musically, it just did hit the road jack. But
Yeah.
bum, 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 which is cool, yeah, but it was still kind of in the same place.
yeah, and lyrically, it never really completes the story. It doesn't take
Yeah,
you
I
from
was-
beginning to the middle or the
I was
end.
working on the music, but yeah.
So, you know, I would say it's got a lot of potential, but it's not quite done yet. let's see. We want to know
Maybe it
more.
just needs some kind of a B section too.
Yeah,
And
I
then
made a note
that would
that
make you, that kind of makes you listen, perk up and listen to the lyrics when it goes somewhere just a little bit different musically. But I like the, probably between the verse and the chorus, some kind of a pre that just goes to a, the four or something like that. And then you get back on the chorus for the hit the road jack part, you're dropping it back down. I
because
mean, I'm
he
just,
does stay on the same thing throughout.
yeah.
So, and you do have a section that was, it didn't suck by any stretch of the imagination, but I was wondering what it was because it ended up being after the verse and before the chorus, but yet it wasn't really like a B verse, excuse me, or a pre-chorus. And then you brought that section back again later, and it was way too long. So I think that Richard is absolutely correct in saying that you need another section of the song, and maybe you could use that section that you've got now, cut it way down to like, I don't know, 8 bars, and go somewhere else with the chords and the melody to make it more interesting and make it a launching pad to give you a lift into the chorus. But the chorus also needs another chord because it can't be the same thing as the verse. There's no differentiation.
Yeah. There was a cool breakdown in there somewhere, if I remember right.
Yeah, that's the section I'm talking about. But it was really long, and it was after, I think it was after the first verse. I could be wrong. And then it happened again. But basically, what the song needs to do is follow the tried and true version of intro, verse, chorus, verse, intro, verse, chorus, bridge, chorus, and out. And that would make it more interesting. You've got good bones here. You've got good sounds. I like your attitude in the vocal. And tell me more of the story. And what I don't know is if the person that submitted this wants to pitch it for film and TV, or if it's something that he wants to do as an artist, or if he would pitch it to other artists. But I can tell you, for film and TV, it's bad. It's not great. It's not recommended that you have your own story because how can you really play this in a scene where there's a lot of detail about, the leather, purty yellow head, high heel shoes. Those are all very specific things about the woman who's the, I was going to say protagonist, I guess antagonist in the song. Talking to my best friend, that's not fair. So those are all details that in a country song would be very welcome. But in a song for film and TV, it's going to conflict. So overall, not bad. Hope the thoughts and ideas help you take it to completion because it feels a little incomplete.
I like that note.
Farfisa, oh yeah.
It's kind of like a '90s grunge version of a late '60s
Yeah.
California rock tune. Yeah,
There you go.
If you put some Farfisa in there, just here's something that I'm not a pro. Well, I don't know what I am, but one thing that I've learned is when you have when the music's emphasizing the downbeat and it's very aggressive, and the story is also just, he's thanking the girl for letting him go, or I forget how he said it. I want to thank you for bringing this to an end.
Yeah.
If the lyrics are on a dark note and the music is, it gets kind of one-dimensional. So a Farfisa is all quirky and light and Beach Boysy. So when you throw in that one little contrast piece just in the instrumentation, then that gives you that little fun little tension, if that makes sense. So.
Yeah, some contrast.
Everything is in one lane right now. So yeah. But again, maybe he wrote that for a client or something, and that's exactly what they needed. I don't know, but
Also,
I don't know who did this.
I think if I remember correctly, the lyric on the chorus the second time around, the last 2 lines were different from the first time around, and that's a pretty unbreakable rule. You should always have your choruses have the same lyric. It happens sometimes where people will use a different twist on the lyric for the chorus second or third time around, but it's not recommended. So I would go back to having the chorus be the whole thing. I think what you tried to do was wrap up the story of the song's story in the second chorus by changing those last 2 lyric lines, but I think you should have done it in the verse rather than that. rather than the chorus. So there you go. Hope that was helpful. And now, without any further ado, my best French accent right there.
How's your back?
Oh yeah, my back. I don't know what the hell I did to it, but I woke up this morning and that kind of, thank you, sir, kind of back pain where you can't bend over and tie your shoes. And probably, I don't know, 15 minutes ago, I took some prescribed medication. So Richard said, "That's okay, man. If you know, if you get buzzed and you can't do the show, I'll take over and finish it up." And you know what? He could, because this guy.
You're Cheech on Chong today.
Yeah. No, if we were Cheech and Chong, we'd be doing more than taking
other painkillers.
Yes.
Yeah, right. Well,
but Richard sent me a script for the show, which is so thorough, and it's funny. He talks about when I was here a year ago, the theme was an older, experienced player, but new to Taxi and film and TV. Harder for an older guy to change, write in a more contemporary style. Can I stick to my artistic era and still get signed and get placements? And my response apparently was yes. One thing you should do is watch shows on which you like the music and write to that. And so the theme that Richard wants to talk about this year is paying attention to detail, which I highlighted in the email I sent out earlier today. So tell us about how the story continues. I don't want to just read the script. I want to engage you in conversation.
Let me just put this on Kindle and go get a beer. No. So, yeah, and so I like to do these shows because I like Michael for one thing very much, and I love Taxi too. And I think, and a lot of you people kind of know some of the stuff we're going to do, but we're going to have some other fun too. But I think it's important to keep, there's new ranks coming into Taxi probably every month, new members, and it took me a long time to figure out how to shift from just being in love with your music and know it's great to learn how to work in this particular business, because it's so different from being an artist that's trying to become famous. And so I don't mess it up. Our job is not to sell our music writing for film and television. Our job is to sell a scene with the right music underneath it. And when I first joined a year ago, when we were here talking about it, I kept getting like good screener scores, but nothing got forwarded because it didn't match the listing. And so I think, I'm not going to go into all that again, but I think the shift that I had to make, and everybody has to make if you're going to do this for part-time or for a living or whatever, is you have to you still have to be emotionally invested when you're creating the music, but you can't be emotionally invested to it after you've finished it. In the sense, we always say, write, submit, forget. Because you can always write another one and learn on the next song. That's one point, I guess.
So this is kind of like childbirth, but you don't hang on to the kid after it's been birthed.
Oh dear. Yes, exactly. And it's a process. Everybody says the 5-year plan, all the veteran members, and it is true. And so my challenge after figuring out how to match the listings better was how to let go of the emotion to the song, let go of my attachment to the song, and just kind of put it out there. But there's another point. Hang on, I wrote this down. Oh yeah, it's on page 2, of course. And so, in order to figure out to make the transition from artist to TV film writer, music writer, is to take advantage of Taxi, and a lot of people know this. And I just kind of have some bullet points I want to just go over real quick. The first thing you have to do is understand how the industry works. And can I use this I got to get some, okay, thank you. You want to start?
Every time he says the word, he says the word taxi,
Taxi is just awesome. Hit me. No. Well, Taxi, the name is, they're giving you a ride to the front door of either a library or a music supervisor. And then you're on your own, as my dad said when I got married. But
you really like
But the main thing about Taxi is it's not just a pitching service, it's a huge system of educational tools. And that's obvious once you get on the forums or go to a rally. You're like, wow, it's a community, it's a membership, all of us know each other. And the more you get involved in all the tools that are available, and I'm going to say right off you have to get on the forums. You have to hang out on the forums.
Forums.taxi.com. That's forums with an S.
Yeah, because that's where you meet people. When I joined Taxi, I had never been on. The rally was like a month later, and I hadn't even got geared up yet.
And
And so
he's
I
talking
go,
about the Road Rally, our annual convention.
yeah, and so I went to the rally, and it was packed, and all these people knew each other. I didn't know anybody yet because I hadn't been on the forums. But I'm like, wow, look at all this camaraderie here. There's like 400 people at the bar, and they're all like best friends. And I'm
Yeah.
like, what is this about? So that
Yeah,
kind of
and
got
a
my
year or two
attention.
before that, they didn't even know each other, and now they're family.
Yeah,
Pretty
and
amazing.
so you have to get on the forum to start meeting people online, throw a song up, hey man, listen to this, see what you think, and then you start making, e-friends,
Yeah.
and then it's exciting to go to the rally and meet them, and then it's a big party, and you're still learning and going to the classes and all the presentations. So if you're going to do it, do it. We've probably been in different businesses over the years, and it's different business, same gig. You have to get involved, and the more you get involved, the more fun it is. You're writing, your mind starts to shift, and oh, this is how I have to write now. I can't write like my one swan song epic ballad and hope that somebody is going to put it on a label. It's probably not going to happen right off the bat. So it's a different business than being an artist.
You're a pretty easy guy to get to know. I mean, I think I said to you the night we hung out after the last Taxi TV together that I could do a road trip with this guy. I mean, he's just easy to hang with. He is.
I did a road trip.
That's right. He did.
I drove over here last time,
But
yeah.
a lot of people are afraid to go to the road rally because they're fearful that they're going to be the one guy standing in the corner, the wallflower. You would have to be like from another planet to be a wallflower at the road rally because everybody is so incredibly welcoming that,
Yeah.
I mean, the only way you're going to be a wallflower is if you choose to be.
Yeah, and even if you're a wallflower, or if you're like a cigarette smoker and you're hanging out on the outside the building having a cocktail, you'll meet some guys and girls out there too.
Yeah.
So wherever you go, there's people to meet. They're everywhere. So that fascinated me. So then I got involved, got on the forums. I can't tell you how many times I put a song up on the peer-to-peer board, which is just one of the many forum boards. And just for, you finished a song and need some tweaking, you can ask for mix advice, you can ask for just lyrical advice, whatever, and you always get 5-10 responses eventually once you get on there and they recognize your name a little bit and you respond to their help questions.
Right.
So it's all
give and take.
interconnected. Yeah. And I can't tell how many times somebody gave me just, you know what, you need to do this on a mix or whatever, and I did it, and it got forwarded and got in the library, probably in part at least because of that, just that one little thing. But that stuff goes on all the time, every day on the forums. So I wanted to really
It is amazing.
state that.
I would say probably only 10% of our members go on the forum.
Yeah, you see the same names there all the time.
Yeah, a lot of people are lurking, but lurking, it's like watching a game versus playing the game. You're not going to get better at golf by watching golf. You're going to get better by going out and playing golf.
Yeah, and the people that when I got on, who was on there, and I've seen them develop and me develop, and the people who are on it are the ones that are starting to have success.
Yeah, gee.
So you can bitch about the system if you don't like it, but there's other people that use the system and it works. So it's just that simple.
And lots of them. It's not just a few examples.
Yeah. Okay. So that's that. So get engaged with Taxi. If you joined, get into it. Of course, the rallies have all the classes and all the listening panels and stuff.
His name on the forum, by the way, is Crawdaddy.
Yeah,
Right?
I think they know that. Yeah, Crawdaddy. Yeah,
Bubbles
Crawdaddy.
didn't know, so yeah, he's Crawdaddy.
Yeah, and I'm a bit of a knucklehead, so you'll recognize my comment style. Okay, so my story, I'm struggling on the forums, learning, submitting, returns, forward here and there, and then eventually a forward will turn into getting signed to a library, or maybe it goes direct to a show, a music supervisor, or whatever. And obviously you're super excited when that happens, and I probably don't even need to say this, but as soon as that's a foot in the door, really develop the relationship with the library or the music supervisor, which is probably a little harder to do because they're a little bit more exclusive, but and just develop the relationship because now they know you. They already took some of your music. Be courteous and kind and responsive. They might say, hey, write 3 more. We know we need you to do this. We kind of hear what your vibe is. We think you could do this. And then so develop the relationship as soon as you get one. Just the first, and really all you need is one to get going. You know, one song and one library, and then it starts opening up.
Um, but I want to add an addendum to that thought, which is I know it's really hard to imagine that you're, how can I say this in the nicest way? Don't be a pest.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You
Yeah.
get the open door, and
Don't.
people are so excited that finally, after 20, 30 years of being in the industry and hoping for this moment, somebody's paying attention to you. People can blow it very as quickly as it happens. Well, not so quickly, but you can blow it very quickly by asking them too many questions, keeping them on the phone for too long, or emailing or calling them too often, because then you've created extra work for them.
Yeah, yeah. And so you're right. I should have. So it's kind of a fence walk. You want to be there, responsive to whatever they ask you for, if they happen to ask you again. But yeah, don't pester them. That's definitely true. And that's using your intuition. You know, this is not a personal growth TV show, but just use your intuition. You know, I mean, how would you want to be approached if you were the library owner? You want a person who's engaged and responsive, but you don't want to be bugging them, I guess.
Yeah, they're not your only client.
Right.
Let's take even a small boutique library that might have, say, 2 or 3,000 songs and tracks in there, and let's say that they've got 500 composers and songwriters, artists that comprise those 2,000 to 3,000 tracks. Well, 500 people, if they each called you once a month, and they're what 22 business days a month, so that's like 4 of those calls a day, and if each call takes a half an hour, that's a big time suck. So you
Yeah.
got to kind of gauge, you know, don't be a pest.
Yeah,
Let's just leave
use
it
your
at that.
gut. Yeah, okay. Um, Now, so after I was talking so much about learning how to shift into how to work in the industry, because it's my little story and I was kind of stuck being older in styles and things that I wanted to do, I was trying to figure a way to walk the fence. Today's show, we called it kind of attention to detail. We're going to do that, but it's also walking the fence because I don't know if I've taken a different approach, but before I even had a couple of library deal things, I always put my music in little catalogs because I met more experienced writers at Taxi who would be, you know, asked by a library to give us 10 or 12 of these. I said, well, I'm just going to start cataloging what I'm writing now, trying to shift it more for film and TV and organize it just for my head so I can see it all on my little website. I need some more in this, I need some more in that. And I always just presented the second deal I got. I gave the guy, this is an example of what we're going to do today. This is the Jethro Sexuals. But I handed a library owner a CD at the 2013 rally, and it's all in one genre. It was the one I'm familiar with. It's kind of Southern soul, funk rock. And he just took the whole thing because maybe he needed that, I don't know, or whatever. And so I started making many catalogs in a proper CD and just handing them out that way. You know, and it seems to work. It may not work for everybody all the time, but it's a little bit different tack. But
Well, you're pretty productive. You're prolific. And for a lot of people, they don't get to this stage until they've, where they've got a finished CD in their hand. People will go out and drop 10 or 20,000 bucks and put a year or two into this puppy and then hand it to somebody. And then the guy says, this is pretty good, but, and they lose it because what do you mean, but? This is my finished product.
But you can do this for about 200 bucks.
Yeah, so just know that you always need to be flexible enough that if the library owner, publisher, music supervisor, whomever says to you, I need what you're doing, but you're putting too much guitar, the guitar parts are too busy and they're going to conflict with dialogue, you need to be able to go back and go, okay, how can I calm it down to make him love it?
Yeah, yeah. And it's always a process. It's always a learning story. So you're absolutely right. And I tell when people ask me, well, I don't have the money or time to do this, on your website, kind of organize your music in little catalogs.
Yeah.
So if somebody happens to go there and spend 3 minutes there, they can jump around and see different stuff. it's already kind of organized on your site.
That's a common thing that a lot of our more successful members will do that if they've got a SoundCloud page or whatever, that they'll have a singer-songwriter section and an indie blues rock section. And you're absolutely right. And that way you don't have to go to the trouble of putting it on CD. And if somebody's got a comment, you don't have to go press up another 100 CDs. You can just go back in, edit the music, and be on your way.
And both SoundCloud and Bandcamp are great for that. So everybody knows about that probably already, a lot of people out there. And another crazy thing that I do is I actually travel to visit library owners, you know, and not everybody has the time or money to do that. And my little motivational speech thing is, well, if you really want to do it for a career, maybe you cannot afford not to do it, you know, but find a way to make connections with your potential clients in person somehow, not just online, because we do everything online. It's kind of prison-like to me. It's efficient and everybody's moving fast and they don't have time to hang out. But if you show up or just say, hey, I'm going to be in town, I'd like to stop by and just talk for 5 minutes, maybe that's helped me, I guess.
And keep it brief.
Yeah, brief.
And know what you're there to accomplish, because if you sit down and if you appear to be needy or anything that's going to feel like a time suck to them, you've left a bad calling card. If you're just showing up so that they know your face, Richard's absolutely right. Once somebody knows you,
it changes everything.
Yeah, they're going to be much more responsive in the future than if they don't know you and you're just letters on a keyboard.
Okay.
Screen, I mean.
So, and the next thing I want to talk about is collaborate. And hopefully we'll have a little time later in the show to play some examples of people I've collaborated with. So we'll get to that, because the main thing is about collaboration. You'll end up hooking up with people who have skills that you don't have, and the blended creative tension can create some nice new product, take you places musically you wouldn't have gone before without the other person. Again, a lot of the seasoned members know that, but it just needs to be said by more of us members. It works. Collaboration really works.
Yeah, and don't be afraid to say stuff that you know the seasoned members know, because we've actually noticed there are a lot of new names and faces showing up on the show. So
yeah. Okay.
It's always good to introduce new info.
And by the way, I'm seeing hi, Crawdaddy. So hey, everybody, I recognize you and I love you. So thanks for saying hi and tuning in. Okay, so now about the music itself, you know, that's just refining, learning how to write, like we were going through a person's track a minute ago that sent one in. Just get better at all the things that need to be done. And the standard format, as Michael mentioned when critiquing that person's work, was set the song format up correctly so film, TV people can use it. And if it's more of a song with lyrics, it needs to have an intro and a verse and a pre. I like to bend the rules sometimes, but stick with the format. Don't try to reinvent it. And the other thing I say is, you know, make the thing flow better from section to section. And that's in general for me about introducing kind of a single emotion, whether it's an instrumental track or a song with lyrics. And so it's easy for the listener to close their eyes and get like one image, you know. I've made the mistake of hooking together sections and songs that are kind of related, but they went somewhere too different. And then you got to come back, and then it's confusing to the person who may want to use it. They can maybe use a section of it, but it's better to have one emotion or one image, you know, per song. I know it's not just literally one, but you know what I mean?
I'm glad that you brought up the whole section thing, because it's absolutely true. Most of the time, it's extremely rare that they're going to use a whole entire song in any context, except maybe over the end credit roll. And yes, you'd make anybody who says, well, they only use 22 seconds of a song, but they're never looking for just 22 seconds. They won't sit there and scroll through your song or fast forward, go, well, I like that section. It just rarely happens, so don't count on that.
Yeah, and in order to learn more about what is used, as one library owner told me, you know, turn on your TV, put a big bath towel over the flat screen, and just listen to the music. So you get the instrumentation, the vibe, what's contemporary, when they use throwback stuff. And then take the towel off after you've really listened to the music and know what's happening there lyrically and musically, and then see what images it was working with. And I'm sure that's talked about a lot, but I thought that was just an easy way to
Yeah.
give a person to do it.
As
Throw a
long
towel
as-
over the TV, you know.
You could start a house fire, but make sure that the TV is properly vented on the back when you do that.
Okay, well, turn your back. Don't face your TV. Or throw a towel over your own head.
When they say the music is smoking hot, hopefully it's not your TV set in your living room.
And if you're just getting started or you're not sure what direction you want to go, everybody has a favorite genre or musical style or era that they love. Just stay on that like a bird dog. You know, don't get off it. Just write a bunch of them in your genre. Again, tweaking, get advice from other taxi members, etc. But stay in one genre, and it'll widen later on. You know, and write what you love to write. Another kind of a valid approach is to just learn how to crank out a lot of tracks in a bunch of genres, and there's a lot of people who are very successful doing that. But this is just my approach: is
Well, you got to start
stay in
somewhere.
one genre, right?
You know, and I think all those guys who are multi-genre composers all found something that worked, built the relationship, and then said, "I'm going to try this genre." You know,
Yeah.
they built it in layers. They didn't build Rome in a day.
It'll naturally, the next thing that you want to do will come out of you after working in one genre,
And
really
probably
getting
vis-a-vis a collaboration too. You'll stretch yourself because
into it. Yeah.
you know, you're working in this genre and now you're collaborating with Pedro Costa or somebody, and he's
Mm-hmm.
doing something else. So, yeah, marriages.
That's what I do. That's another great thing for the forums, because you're reviewing some guy's EDM stuff and you don't do EDM, but it's like, wow, I really like that. You know, I like to find a way to put what I do in with that somehow, and just shoot them an email and say, hey man, let's just do one. You know, and then it goes from there, and then you've got 8 rabbit holes going. But it's fun. Okay, detail. We talked about that. Sticking to the standards. I think we're ready to maybe listen to a couple of tracks, and I'll talk about each one. And this catalog that we're playing from today is some stuff that I wrote a few years ago with a buddy of mine, and we wrote 30 songs. It took a year, 2 days a week, 6 hours a day to actually come in with nothing, get a hook, a lyric, record the whole thing, and then we had to go back and add real drums later. And then we got half of it done a year ago and got the whole thing signed like in one day, because we paid attention to detail of how I do a lot of kind of southern soul funk music, again staying on my genre, and my songwriting partner was that way too, so it sounds pretty authentic, and it's like, wow, this is kind of the old real deal. We can use it somewhere. So
I'm glad you used the word authentic. You know, you see that in a lot of the listings. Authenticity is really important. The bar has been raised, not only with the libraries, but with the music supervisors. They can tell something that's inauthentic, somebody trying to do a certain genre, and they're playing all the instruments themselves, and it's got a lot of MIDI stuff, and it just sounds inauthentic. When you hear it against something that is authentic, it's easy to spot. I have a question before we play anything.
yeah.
Did you do this on your system that you recorded the last stuff on? Because you had a pretty basic system, and you
Believe it or not, all except for the drums we added later, live drummer.
Yeah.
All that's done on a Peace OS beat up Tascam 24 track. Yeah, every bit of it.
What's is it digital or is it on
Yeah,
tape? Or?
it's called a Porta Studio. They were hot, 10 years ago for like taking out to the gig and
Yeah.
capturing the band. 8 channels. They got a few options, but not much.
Is it a
It's
DA88?
It's 20. It's called the 24-2. I don't know. It got a couple of Roman numerals in it. They don't make it anymore. But the general category of those machines was by Tascam was called Porta Studio.
Okay, so
They made a 4
yeah.
track cassette one first.
Right.
I had that one. So
I think that's what most people associate when they hear the word Porta Studio. So it's nice. I didn't even know they built a 24-track version. So you're not even doing this on computer. You don't have a sophisticated studio.
not the original bass and guitars and Hammonds and all that. And then we took it to a studio, added the drummer, and then remixed it in Pro Tools. So the final stuff has been
Okay.
tweaked, a little nicer than a Tascam. So yeah. Oh, so we're going to start with track number 10, actually. I
Okay.
think. Don't start it quite yet.
Oops. Sorry. Trying to get there.
So, this song is called. Wait a minute. Yeah, okay. Big Old World, track 10. So this is a kind of Sly Stone style. It's called Big Old World, and the main lyric line, chorus line is "Say it with me, it's a big old world." So right away you know it's kind of a sing along, and we're going to bend the rule right away and open with the chorus. Okay, with an a cappella chorus, and I call that, the old school guys call it a fanfare, like, you know, dun, 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 trumpet, or when an elephant, you know, snorts when he walks into town. That's a fanfare, just kind of announcing. You know, it's kind of you're announcing the
Is that
main
what elephants
message.
do when they walk into town? They snort?
In India, well, they do a trumpet. You know, they got a trunk trumpet or something, and
That
they
would be
push
a-
people off the road.
A disco elephant.
Yeah, it would.
1979 variety.
Yeah, and so it starts with an a cappella chorus and then goes into a verse. There's no intro either. And then it drops down into a verse, which feels like a drop down because all the chorus is just grabbing your attention right away, hopefully. And then the song proceeds from there. But anyway, I'll probably just play it.
Okay, and let me know when to
Yeah,
give it the
okay.
early fade or whatever. Because how many do you want to play?
We'll just, when we run out, how long we go
Okay,
till 5?
we got 45 minutes.
Yeah, we're not going to spend a lot of time on these.
Okay,
Yeah.
here we go.
No, number 10?
That was number 10.
It was?
It was. It says 10 on my little thingy.
Okay, I am so sorry. It is number 12, the last one. Yeah, number 12.
Okay,
I apologize.
crank it up a tad. Here we go.
Say it with me, it's a big old world. Say it with me, it's a big old world. Say it with me, it's a big old world. Say it with me, it's a big old world.
Now it's the verse.
You can live on the mountain or the valley below. It don't really matter, it's just a place to go. Got to get together, right on time. Shout it out to the people on every side.
Short little break. Editor can use that if he needs.
It don't have to be right, don't have to be wrong. There's plenty of room just to get along. Got to get together, right on time. Shout it out to the people on every side. Say it with me.
There's a little bridge coming up, and we can fade it out to the bridge, a little bit into the bridge.
It's a big old world.
There's the bridge. Still lifting the energy, taking just a
Cowbell.
cowbell, right? Gotta have that. So the first half of the bridge is instrumental. It stays on the bridge, but now they're singing.
It can be so easy, don't have to be hard. Just throw a big party.
No, I'm not slapping. Yeah, I did slap the bass on this. Okay, that's good. Yeah.
Crowd goes nuts for it.
Nice to hear the flute.
So yeah, it's kind of a little gospel-y and definitely in that Sly Stone everyday people bag. Yeah.
Just a little electric piano rolling. So that's that one. That's an example of starting with an a cappella chorus. I guess that's the main thing.
And you got right to the meat of it. Rather, general rule of thumb for those of you who haven't been watching the show for very long is nobody needs a long intro. Nobody wants a long intro.
Yeah. Okay, so now we're going to go to track number 6. And this is similar. We're all kind of in Southern Soul here. This one's kind of more Marvin Gaye style. Now it's an acoustic guitar, short intro. Again, the chorus first with a full band, and then drop down to verse. Now that you grabbed them with the fanfare.
Has this stuff been signed already?
This whole thing got signed in one day. Yeah.
Okay, and here we go.
Everybody, get on board. If you like the way I'm
Thank you,
going.
thank you, thank you.
If you wanna go,
So that was the chorus.
Listen up, everybody. Something's calling your name. Way off in the distance, I think I hear the same. Chariots rolling, trumpets blowing, I can hear the hum. Way off in the distance, feels like a change gonna come. Everybody, get on board. If you like the way I'm rolling, if you wanna go, I'll take you somewhere. Everybody, get on board. Got to be going. Won't take long, 'cause I'm already there.
Now the next verse, can you hit pause for just a wee second?
A million grains of sand.
Okay.
So we paused it there. So the message is pretty universal. It's kind of obvious. Everybody get on board. And then the second, because you stated in the chorus up front, and the verse is clear about that too. The second verse, we get a little bit more poetic and abstract. But now that you kind of have them, you can do some more poetic lyrics, and they don't really make any sense, but they make sense, like Steely Dan used to do. And I know, and here again, I know I'm on the fence, artist versus film TV,
Right.
but there's a way to walk it, and I have to walk the fence.
And honestly,
you know what I'm
I think a lot of the appeal of your music, let's face it, more often than not, music is not the star of the scene. Unless it's in the clear, over a montage. A lot of times it's background source. This could be coming out of a jukebox from across the room.
It works for that too.
Yeah, and the lyric becomes inconsequential, but that doesn't mean that you can always get away with that. So you got to have lyrics that work, and it can be, work in both scenarios. Okay, so just continue from where we were at.
Yeah, so just to read you the lyric real quick, it's real short. The second verse is, if you hold in your hands a million grains of sand, in your mind tracks in time, take a slide down the mountainside, might end up in the ocean, walk across the water to the front of the line. It doesn't mean anything, but each of those phrases is kind of familiar on its own.
Mm-hmm.
And when you weave them all together like Steely Dan used to do, somehow with the music, and because you heard the universal message in the first verse, this just worked. It seemed to work. It got the owner liked it, so okay, I guess it worked. Okay, so just a little bit of that verse, and we can move on from there.
In your mind, tracks in time. Take a slide down the mountainside, might end up in the ocean. Walk across the water to the front of the line.
That's enough of that one. It's easy to know.
You know what works? It sounds authentic. It doesn't sound like one guy doing everything with a bunch of computers.
Well, this is all real players. Yeah.
Right,
So,
it sounds like real players.
So use real players.
Yeah, industry loves real players.
Okay, and now we're going to go to track 1. And this is kind of more of the Memphis Stax, Muscle Shoals soul sound, which hopefully will be obvious when you hear it. Slightly more contemporized, but not much. Short intro. Again, the fanfare chorus. And the lyric is, baby, I hear you calling my name, won't you say it again? That's the lyric in the chorus. Then it drops down to a talk verse with a cross stick, and then it builds from there. Well, I'll just leave it at that for now.
Okay, here we go.
This is number 1. Yeah. Chorus.
Baby, I hear you calling my name. Won't you say it again? Please say it again. Baby, I hear you calling my name. Won't you say it again? Please say it again. Baby, it's always you and me. Always has been, always will be.
The talk verse,
But
So he's going to talk the verse,
I know that
half
I
of
do
it.
before I ever laid eyes on you.
and then he's going to sing the second half of the verse, but it kind of acts as a pre-chorus leading into the chorus again. So these are like tweaks on songwriting, but a little different, but it makes you stand out a little more versus just the standard,
Don't ever forget this.
one section to the next. There's now he's singing.
When I say I
Energy
love
comes up.
I ain't saying
It's still the
enough,
verse though.
and I testify every
And these are
day.
all badasses, by the way. But I got one.
When I say I need you, I ain't just saying stuff, and I mean every word I say. Baby, I hear you calling my name.
That's
Just
enough.
say it again.
I love that, man. It really does sound like an old Stax record or something.
Exactly.
You've got such a great right hand.
Oh, thanks,
You're
man. Yeah.
like, man, I love
Well, and the cool thing about the stuff that I like to play, it was simpler back then, you know. So I'm not a shredder or a. There's different styles of guitar that evolve, you know. But I like the old stuff. It's kind of
it. Steve Cropper's made a living on finding the pocket.
yeah, like what's his name used to say, Louis Armstrong. There's a lot of information in one note, and in the pocket, one note has a lot of information in it, so you don't have to be busy. That's calling my name. Oh, well, we don't have to. How are we doing on time?
We've got till 5:30.
I've got just a few more anyway, and some backup stuff.
Yeah, I want to leave some time for Q&A so they can
Right.
ask you about your personal journey.
Oh yeah, somebody said, "How'd you get the name Crawdaddy?" It's not because of the funk. But anyway, the other thing that I did in this song is at the end. I don't know if you can fast forward a little bit.
Yeah, we're on track 1. Did you say?
We're still on track 1, or let it play. Maybe shave off another 30 or 40 seconds and head towards the last minute of it or something. Yeah, so we're in the last chorus.
Calling my name. Won't you say it again? Please say it again.
Last chorus. And so what I did was put the solo on the outro. So the editor had to take it out of the middle of the song. Now he's got all the solo he wants if he needs it. We made 30 seconds real mellow. It's still kind of in the pocket, and now it's going to lift up just a little bit. And now we're going to ride it out. Okay, that gets them the idea.
I'm going to keep listening.
Okay. So it's got an ending.
Yeah. You've got to promise me someday you will let me go into the studio with you and the band and do some of this stuff live with everybody in the room.
Sure,
All
sure,
right.
yeah. Come on through Phoenix on your way back from Chicago or some other time. Yeah.
I will fly out just to do a weekend in the studio with you. I could do this stuff all day long. I love it.
Yeah, and so I don't know if you could hear, but we put the solo in the outro. So we have two 30-second parts of the outro, put the solo on that instead of in the middle of the song so the editor doesn't have to remove it if he wants all lyrics on the jukebox through the scene or whatever.
But see, that's taking the skills that you've learned over the last couple of years. You know, you're applying a business head to an art form.
Yeah, you got to go left brain, right brain all day
That's
long in
brilliant.
this business. Yeah.
You gave him the solo, but put it in a place that it would, if it were too early in the song, he might go, oh man, can't use the solo in the scene.
Or he'd have to go in and splice it together and
Yeah,
get the solo
but-
out. We just put it at the end for him, so
Yeah.
in case he needs it.
Man, the feel
Okay.
is so awesome.
So that's a cool trick to do. Always put your solo somewhere else. Now, the next song, number 2, track 2, it's going to demonstrate what I call the stumble beat, just the style of the drum beat. That's and another thing of the solo at the end. We'll just listen to a little bit of it.
Okay.
A little bit more aggressive soul, old school. It's called Such a Fool. That's the stumble flat tire, Robert Cray, you know, that kind of stuff. Big hole.
Ain't easy to admit it.
So he can get in right in the verse if he wants to and leave the whole
Ain't
intro
no
out.
way to spin it. I'm the one to blame.
Wow.
I put out the flame. Waited one day too many. One day
listen to the right hand, the guitar part.
I'm gonna tell you why. I got to testify. I've been such a fool. 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 When it comes to you.
I don't want to stop listening. I'm loving it.
Well, there's a pretty cool bit on the end. You can let this one roll if you want.
How much longer till that?
It'll be like the last. These are all 2.5 minute songs. So, what are you at now? Like a minute and a half?
Yeah.
Go to 2:15.
Right on it.
Right on. There's a pre and a chorus and then the outro is where it gets crazy.
I've been such a fool. Such a fool. Such a fool. Such a fool.
What type of listening would this work for? Robbie J. Hancock. Well, it works for the scene that needs this kind of music. Again, solo at the end.
Such a fool. Such a fool. Such a fool. When it comes to you.
Yeah. So Robbie Hancock says, what kind of scene would this work for? There's so many ways to go with this, but let's use the lyric as the driving force behind the placement for this. And let's say that there's been a guy and a girl and he's been an idiot. And what they're going to do is roll with the chorus. I've been such a fool.
Exactly.
And it makes the point. Then again, it could be used in a scene where somebody's down south and they're in a bar having a conversation. This is on the jukebox 50 feet away playing in the background, and the lyric almost doesn't matter, but the groove does.
Because
it puts you in a place.
It's defining the place, the era, the place, the south, whatever. So, yeah, it works as source for anything, really.
Yeah.
And then one message, again, one emotion, one message. Such a fool, everything relates to that. So.
Yep. It's sweet, man.
Okay.
And he does real estate by day.
Well, when it's not crash, I do.
But
I'm flipping cars now.
Oh, really?
Classic cars.
Cool.
Okay, so that's we're still in we're on the Jethro Sexuals here. Now this is an example. This is track 7 of using. Everybody knows 4 on the floor. You can use it on a 4/4 or a shuffle beat, And so these are like little nuances now. So for the intro and the verses, we use 4 on the floor. That means the kick drum's hitting every quarter note is what that means. And it's this kind of a beat, boom, boom, that old doo-wop thing. And so that's the kick snare pattern you normally think of as kick, kick, snare, kick, kick, snare. But we're going, the kick's going the whole time, so it drives it. And then we take it back to the normal doo-wop type drum pattern for the chorus to lighten it up. And then you'll see, hopefully you'll feel the difference. So this is using 4 on the floor economically in the right places.
Okay.
That's what this is. Every kick. It's different than doo-wop. Now it's driving straight, Same deal here. Don't change it. And the organ part is Mama's Little Baby's Got Short and Red. Mama.
Ain't no light.
It sounds kind of Crowded House in a way.
Shining bright.
It feels just so amazing.
Can't stand upright in the dark of the night.
And here in the free, it's kick, snare, kick. No more 4 on the floor.
Break free. Back in the days, how we used to be. Wish I was there.
Now the 4 on the floor is back because it gives it more weight, a little bit more weight. Now This is my buddy playing here at Chuck Hall. He's got that country.
That Telly?
Yeah. Just Telly through a bender. That's it. What did you?
Background vocals. How many singers? How long did it take per song to nail that stuff down?
Because we had, there's one guy that does most of it. They use me for bass. I use me for bass. But we have a real pro, so he gets it first try. I don't mind dropping his name, Gary Brazizi. He was Glenn Campbell's drummer for 25 years. And he still just hangs out in Phoenix, just playing in clubs now because Glenn can't work anymore. So, but when you record his vocal, you don't need to compress it. You don't do anything. He knows how to not say S's.
Yeah.
He knows everything about recording vocals in the studio, and you don't have, and the bars don't even go up and out. It just stays right there when he sings. It's like, how do you do that? He goes, well, I've been doing it for 25 years.
Yeah, good mic technique.
Now,
Wow.
This is another example with the lyrics.
Which song?
I'm
Same
still
one?
just finishing this
Okay.
one up. Yeah. The chorus is universal, or the pre. We used to run hungry and free back in the day is how it used to be. I wish I was there. That can be used for a lot of stuff. But the verses are about playing in storm sewers when we were kids. Pull off the cover, lift the lid, pitch black hole crawling on in. There's metaphor there, but they don't make any sense, and yet it kind of makes sense, or at least in my opinion. Very strange, we're knuckleheads, so.
I get it.
Yeah.
We grew up in the era. Remember when they put in a new neighborhood and those giant concrete pipes would get laid out? Before they'd
did you
sink them
crawl
in the
through
ground?
those things?
Endlessly.
We had to write a song about it. We were just
Yeah.
talking about it, so we got to write one. So
I
we
still
wrote
got a
it.
scar on my forehead from one of those.
Yeah, big storm sewers were always fun. Now they're probably full of typhoid or something.
Alligators.
Now here's switching gears. This one is called Credit Man. It's track 3, and this is very topical. It's about the bank and the man and the credit man bringing you down. So it's very specific.
But yeah, it could be used in
But if they need
tons
one of
yeah.
that, it can work for a lot of stuff. And we'll just let that one roll, I guess.
Okay.
A little bit more urban. I sang a falsetto.
Working hard all day, can't get my rest. I done earned my pay, I gave them my bills. I can't be free, and it's killing me. Phone gonna ring, it's a credit man. If I don't pay my bill, he gonna take what he can. I'm just a slave. What can I do? Here it come again. He's a credit man. He's a credit man.
Can you hit pause right here? Okay, so the trick here was that's a 2-chord song. It just goes from one chord to the other. And this is about minimalism. There's no big strum of both of those chords. It's a 2-note chord on the guitar, and you change one note. And that changes the whole 1 chord to 2 chord, first to second chord, because the bass doesn't change. The strings don't change. One note on one guitar changes, but you can feel it. And the same thing happens in the chorus. The background vocals change one note. And the guitar is just driving the credit man into your brain. So anyway, I just wanted to point that out. And the other thing we did on this is, on any fill, the song is straight 8, straight 4, and I had the drummer just swing the fills only. So he's doing a reggae, and then for the fill it's just swing it real quick. So that's just subtle touches, but it helps to make him stand out a little bit.
Who's the actor? Big, tall guy. He was in a relationship with Jennifer Aniston. He was in Wedding Crashers. Can't think of his name, but he did a film about, he donated a certain bodily fluid at a bank and ended up having 200 kids
I think I know him. No,
Anyway,
I used to live on Rampart Street.
but the film starts out with this guy. You know, he's a ne'er do well, and you know, he's got people after him for money, for a gambling problem. He can't get his act together at work. I think he's in a family-owned business. But that's the kind of scene. This would be good. The guy's at home
Right.
opening up, you know, like a pizza box from a week ago. You know, his apartment's a mess. His life's falling apart. He's got money problems, and this would be playing in the background. Perfect.
It's perfect, yeah.
Yeah.
And the topic's very current today. A lot of people are in financial trouble all over the place. Yeah, so we can
Sadly,
let
it's a topic that's apropos in almost any generation.
yeah, that's sadly so. You can let a little bit more of it roll.
Okay.
Here he come again. He's a credit man.
I want to point out the
He's
hooks.
the credit man.
Oh, right, yeah. We don't change music for the bridge, still the same place. The oohs are changing one of them, but the bass doesn't change, or the guitar. That's Gary.
I gotta make a plan, see it through. Gotta take a stand, don't know what else to do.
Yeah, fun song, you're
'Cause
right.
I'm going down.
Vanderbilt said it's Vince Vaughn. Is that who you're talking about?
Down,
Yeah.
down. He don't want me to pay all of my bill. He just wants me to pay till he get his fill.
This is more Curtis Mayfield.
He's the
Yeah,
credit man.
Bob Marley.
I just can't win. No. Here he come again. He's the
I did these songs about
He's
in
the
2011.
credit man.
2011 added drums this year for Asaf one. There was a swung fill. Just to mess with your head
He's
for a
the
second.
credit man.
Who's the drummer on this?
Here he come
Just a
again.
friend of mine in Phoenix. He's a Scottish guy. He's getting ready to go out on the road with Rob Thomas. We had to get all this done before we took off.
He's the credit man. Here he come again.
Urban at the end. There is a little loop in there. You kind of hear it with the real drummer. And it ends on a Charlie's Angels scene change. You know.
Man, I'm telling you, the pocket is so cool. But you know, something else that you're not even thinking about is you're a really, really strong writer.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, me and my buddy together. That's the collab part.
Okay, who's the co-writer on it?
Chuck Hall. Chuck
Chuck
Hall.
Hall,
He's with
okay.
Fender Guitars. Or used to be. Yeah.
So, are you? You know, do you write the lyrics? Do you write? How do you
No,
guys work when you
we-
collaborate?
Sometimes we have a little groove. You know, we each have phones. We got hooks on our phones. We come in. Here's a groove. Here's one lyrical idea. You know, credit man.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have one hook. Dun, dun, dun. Oh, we got that off of his cell phone. You know, you can set your ringtone.
Yeah.
So that, well, it's a little different. Dun, 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 dun. It's like an urban cell phone. We just heard that, listen to that, and we took that and did something with it.
Wow.
So a hook and one lyric, and then we usually write it in about an hour, and then we start the hard work, putting all the parts down right, and getting it all arranged right.
Yeah.
And then get away from it for a day, and then see if
it-
it stands up to the cold, hard light of day the next day. You know.
The reason that libraries jump on your stuff is it doesn't sound like library music. It sounds like a real artist.
Well, isn't that a part of what libraries want?
Yeah, well, that's absolutely,
artist
yeah.
music. Yeah, it's more interesting to hear something like that also in a film, maybe more film than TV. I don't know. I'm still learning.
In any venue, but yes, even more particularly in films. And the authenticity factor is a big, big deal. But you've not only got the feel and the authenticity, you've also got the songwriting. And you
Yeah,
understand
yeah.
a universal lyric.
Okay, let me see if I've dance hall. How can you lose? Oh, yeah, the name works too. Chuck Hall and Richard Dance.
That didn't
We had-
sink in so quickly for me.
Okay, so I've
Getting
got
buzzed on my rock star.
yeah.
That's it.
Now we're still kind of in the same vein of music. We've gone more from the old country soul stuff, a little bit more urban. And we actually wrote a song. We had to change the title. The library did. It's called the Mod Squad. You know, we just wrote it about. Remember that show? There was one black, one white, one blonde.
Julie. I was in love with Julie.
Yeah, Julie.
She married Quincy
Jones.
Quincy Jones. She still is his wife, I believe.
Wow. And so that was a 70s TV show, crime fighter show. And so we just wrote, and we started with the chorus, one black, one white, one blonde, again, the fanfare up front. And then I had each singer do one little verse, which kind of, I studied the show. We figured if they ever make a film about it again, we might have a shot, or they might rewrite it or something.
Didn't they just make a film?
They did a few years ago.
Yeah, like 3 or 4 years ago.
But there's talk about doing it again. So we just said, what the hell? And we actually got it signed. So it's in some library. So this is just kind of fun with Mod Squad TV show, blaxploitation stuff. But I had each singer sing a verse about their character, and then it goes into a chorus and blah, blah, blah. So we'll see. We'll just let a little bit of that run. Should be the next one. The style is obvious right away, you know?
Yeah.
One black, one white, one blonde.
It's a little...
One black, one white, one blonde. I got dealt a bad hand with
There's a black guy.
young man. Another young brother from a bad neighborhood. Up to no good.
And that guy was in the Coasters. He's like 80. He did that for me. Yeah. There's me. I'm the white guy.
On the street, I had to get tough. Only when you have it all do you know how far you can fall.
Here comes Peggy. But we're serious, you know. We're not making fun of it, you know.
I love it.
Little breakdown.
Drum part's really tasty.
Yeah, he's good.
No more waiting in line. It's better than doing time. Working undercover instead of doing the crime. Driving fast, busting thugs, mopping pushers, selling drugs. You might think it's odd. You like to run with the Mod Squad.
Anyway, that's all.
I just, you guys are such great players. I mean, the drum part's just so, it's all about touch and feel and leaving
helps.
holes for everybody else. Everybody's being respectful. It's not like, look how much stuff we can do.
Yeah, there's not a wall of sound. We all have little parts, and they kind of just interlock.
Yeah.
There's a lot of holes in there, even though you.
Man,
Yeah.
amazingly good.
Well, we're playing what we love, you know, so it helps if you love it. And there's one more track to share on this Jethro Sexuals, and it's kind of back. It's about money again. It's called it's track 11, "The Color of Money." Wait a minute, I might have gotten that wrong. Let me look on the cover because I screwed you up right out of the gate. Yeah, that's number 11. And this is again about pretty universal. Everybody wants to win it all, so it's about gambling, you know, trying to make money or whatever. So we'll just let it roll and see what happens. Now this is Punk Bucket. You know, this is really dropped down. You know, this is about 84 BPM or something. You know.
Gotta place my bet, gotta let it roll.
That's just me singing an octave by myself.
Don't use my bottom dollar. Take me out of this hole.
Yeah,
my
love
last
it.
good
Right.
money.
You see the spinning wheel, you know?
In motion.
Right one for the marbles.
It won't be long.
Those kind of hits.
I got the man climbing the wall to worry. I'm going green, full of money, living the dream. I ain't trying to be funny. Walking tall, feeling strong, to win it all. It won't take long. I just need my luck to come around, so I can bring this big house down.
This is a roulette. You could have a shot of a roulette little spinning right there. Zoom in on it real quick.
Spinning black, spinning red, spinning wheels in my head. I ain't in no hurry. I know it's coming around. A lady
Anyway,
done
that's
told
that.
me to lay my money down.
No Bubbles, I'm not tired at all. This music is energizing me. I had an itchy eyelash or eyelid.
It's not a steel drum. I don't know. There's kind of like congas in there. Bongos, actually. You know, the little kind between your knees. And there's some congas too, maybe. But somebody asked.
Do you have more stuff you want to talk about? Or do you want to open it up for some Q&A?
We only got 10 minutes left.
Wow.
If people want to ask questions, sure.
Sure.
I got one more I want to play because my buddy, I came over here. This is on the subject of collabing, and this is an instrumental. But here's a case where no way I could create all the stuff that Cass McKenty, a Taxi member, does. And I think it's the very last track on here. Hey, Cass, which one is it? Number 4? Probably. And this is my kind of guitar style with crazy, funky, electronic. I think we have to go to number 4.
Okay.
The last one. And that'll be it. We'll play a few seconds of it at least. Yeah, it's kind of loud. Little clean guitar up there. I just like that hook for some reason. Okay.
All right.
So that's, obviously I couldn't have done that. I can do the guitar parts and that's it. So that's the power of collaborating. Thanks, Cass McKenty, for creating all those groovy tracks.
So
All right, that's
let's
it.
do some Q&A. Island Julie says you're a smart business guy. She just read your blog regarding Taxi. Interesting information. He is a smart business guy. Don't let his laid-back Southern guy demeanor fool you. He's on it.
Just having fun.
Yep.
Let's see. Cool mashup.
Yeah, there's like a 20-second delay, so we'll start getting some questions. Meanwhile, just sit here. If we sit
Yeah.
really still, people think their stuff froze up.
Cardboard cutouts. Right on.
Oh, you're not in the shot.
Oh,
There you are.
Keeps drifting, lane drift.
Richard, what mics do you use to capture the drum sound, my man?
I think he's got, I don't know, just kind of just generic, pretty good quality, condenser and regular mics, one on the bottom. You got to put one on the bottom of the snare to get that rattle, when you want it, I think. And then a couple overheads, close mic bass, and each tom, but nothing super expensive. It's in a nice little room,
You can tell it's so much of it is coming from the source. The drummer's feel is just so good. I mean, I can shut my eyes and see how that guy's hitting those drums.
Yeah. It helps. If you have friends that are good players, I recommend, in addition to stuff you create on DAW, also try, using real players.
Humans are good.
It jumps out a little better, so.
How do you mic your Fenders, and do you ever have amp noise issues?
No, because I used that G-Deck 3, Fender G-Deck 3. They sampled every ancient Fender amp all the way up to what they use now and stuck them in this one amp. And there's no noise at all. I can do anything to any amp sound, all the high-tech stuff. But I usually just record it with pretty much a blackface Princeton reverb, and then just send it to the board, and that's it.
Wow. And what mic do you use? A 57 on the front?
No, it's direct out of the amp because
Oh,
they've got all
really?
the samples in the Fender amp of old Fender amps, old vintage tube amps.
Wow.
Yeah. So for this kind of music, it works at least.
Just in case anybody's wondering what I wanted for the holidays or my birthday, sounds like one of those.
A Fender G-Deck, yeah. Crawdad records live drums. Oh, he's answering somebody. Do you reamp your guitar tracks? No. When they get on the board, they're pretty much fine, except for just taking out a little mud if they've got a little 300 in them and maybe a little point on top, but not much. I talked about that last year. Fender guitars and Fender amps, Leo Fender designed them for a reason. You don't have to do anything to them.
There you go.
Who is your most influential musician? Ray Charles and James Brown. Because they knew how to write and they knew how to layer stuff together. And Ray Charles played country. He played, obviously, R&B. And James Brown knew how. I'm very rhythmically oriented, so you have to learn how to layer all that stuff and not have it be a wall of sound,
Mm-hmm. And are you playing the keyboards as well?
Yeah, all the Hammond stuff. Yeah. Well, it's just, chirping.
I know, but it works.
Well, just put it in the right place.
Yeah, but you're hearing all the parts in your head. You should be producing records.
I drive people crazy. No, I said, bring me another Mall Cheney now. No, so
what are you using for the bass?
Believe it or not, remember the old Dan Electros Bakelite body?
Yeah.
It's an old hollow Dan Electro with 3 of those lipstick tube pickups on it.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a piece of S.
You're not talking about the clear Dan Electros.
No, not those Dan Arm. That's a Dan Armstrong.
Okay.
Yeah, but remember the old. Everybody, if you're a guitar player, you know what a Dano is. They were made out of Bakelite. They were cheap little guitars. You could get them at Sears. They sold them as silver tones, and the amp opened up, and the cheap guitar was in there, the kind of cowboy-looking guitar.
That I don't remember the amp opening up. I know the guitar. Actually, my friend Rob Shirelli's got like 3 or 4 of them. Sitting in his control room, and who knew back in the day,
Who knew? Yeah, so an old beat-up Dano bass.
Do you give lessons? Island Julie wants to know.
On how to drink fine wine. No, I don't teach.
Except on Taxi TV.
Yeah, I come here and hang out. Bass. Do you give lessons?
Did you go to direct with a Dan Electro bass?
No, it's going through that Fender G-Deck. We just put it in kind of a basement amp. We use a basement amp out of the Fender G-Deck.
How much is a G-Deck?
They don't make them anymore. They're like $200 on eBay, $150.
Wow. Right now, you can just hear the footsteps running to everybody's. You're on your computers to go buy one.
I'm going to go put a bunch of them on eBay right now. No.
What's the trick to make guitar sound so good? Well, Here, hold up one of your hands. Hold up both of your hands, actually. I'm telling you, it's in the touch so much. Just from an old engineer's perspective, you could take a guy with hands like that, put him on any crappy guitar, and it's going to sound better than taking a $5,000 beautiful guitar with somebody like me playing it. Same thing for drums, bass, anything.
Yeah, and I can't take all the credit because Chuck Hall plays a lot of that stuff too. But just I know you're going to, depending on what kind of music you use the guitar for, you're going to process it. But it's going to be kind of hard driving rock. But just don't noodle around too much. Just turn the thing on, get it kind of where you want it, and start feeling stuff. Start feeling how to play something. And it doesn't matter what the amp and the guitar sounds like. You can tweak that a little bit later, but I go pretty clean, If the gain choice is, overdrive type gain is 0 to 10, I never go past about 5 or 6 and just kind of use 11 gauge strings and hit it harder, and then that makes the amp start breathing. Well, in that case, it's a sample amp, but it's still, they've got that in there too. You can push the amp.
There's an amp that's like thousands of dollars now that's a modeling amplifier. I think it might be German. I can't remember the name of it.
Oh boy, I'm not up on all that.
Somebody will know, but there's like a version of the G Deck that can do any amp on the planet kind of thing, and people are raving about it.
Yeah, and I know some people. I'm not very engineer oriented. I was talking about this with a person I collaborate with. I kind of know the sound I want right away, and other people the type where they need to really experiment with sounds to find out where they want it to go.
Yeah,
and the creative tension between that usually gives you a pretty good product. But if you're both super engineer or both, too one-sided or narrow-minded on your tone, then it's going to be a flat record.
Gareth just said it's the Kemper modeling amplifier. I saw that thing on the internet, I don't know, a month or so ago, and it's like, wow, this thing is amazing. Looks like you need a degree to operate it, but it sounds amazing.
Somebody said he's got a 66 Champ. Yeah, those are great. Just put a mic in front of it and turn it up. 5 watts.
Mary Band says, like our pianist at church, she makes any piano sound like a Steinway Grand. There you go. Touches everything. If you were trying out a new genre, what would it be?
Well, I'm kind of hooking up with some of the more electronic guys, because if you can hybrid in some cool guitar sounds, real guitar, not MIDI guitar, with current sounding electronic stuff, it might just jump out a little bit. That's my gut. I'm trying it. So I'm collabing with 2 different guys that do that.
You don't know until you try.
Andy said something. That works the other way too. I can make any piano sound like
how to tune up, right?
Perfect.
Okay, 1 or 2 more questions and we're out of here. It's sushi time.
So if you want to hear my stuff, just go to thecrawdaddy.bandcamp.com. So that's that. And my email's there if you just want to, talk, hook up, whatever.
All right, giving you like 30 seconds for the chat room to catch up. We're having a big discussion about the church lady.
Where he buys his shirts. Yeah. Some Western store, I guess, in Phoenix. You got a Western shirt on too there, buddy.
Do I? Oh, yeah. Because some friends of mine from college started a little company called Lucky Brand, and I went there to see the facility one day, like 10 years ago, and they gave me like a car trunk full of stuff, and some of it fit.
Okay.
All right. Well, we're getting a lot of thank yous. So thank you, Richard. Seriously, man.
Thank you, Michael.
I love having you on the show. This felt like it was 10 minutes, and the music is just incredibly good.
Thanks.
I could listen. Can I keep this one?
Oh, yeah. Keep
Thank
that.
you.
And thanks for tuning in, y'all.
Yeah, we will see you next week. I don't even know. I know I've got somebody booked for May 18th. I don't know what's on tap for next week, but thank you guys for watching this week's episode of Taxi TV. Bye-bye. See you soon. Thanks again, Richard.